Schmoes in the North, it's your producer, Dave Lees, and he gets to intro the show for once. I am here with my good buddy Daniel, and we are going to break down the latest Schmoedown Throwdown. Daniel, how are you doing tonight?
Not bad, not bad. Ready to talk about some amazing matches.
Some amazing matches is really the only way to describe this. Now, the internet connectivity on some of the matches, not so much, but we're not here to criticize bad internet.
I don't think we can for a second.
We cannot. Now, I want to start with the teams match because honestly, before we even get into the match, the teams division these last couple weeks has reminded me why the teams division is my favorite division. It has been so much fun just getting to see all these players duke it out. How have you liked the return of the teams division?
Yeah, but before I get into that, I also want to get into I like that you're starting with the teams match, and because everybody keeps glossing over these undercards to get to the main events, and I mean, especially watching Final Exam and their run through all of these live events was spectacular almost.
No, honestly, there hasn't been one undercard yet that has been a dud. These have all been double headers. Really, we are so like I hate saying that we are so blessed right now because it's just so basic, but we are so blessed to be getting this caliber of Schmoedown right now.
And yeah, so I have one note before the match starts, and it's just Shazam entrances are the best. I hope they pull something out here. And I mean, they did. It was quite amusing. But yes, the teams matches are kind of from somebody who really appreciates the theater of the show. The teams matches are such an opportunity for more personalities to get on screen, and that is just both a fact because there are twice as many competitors, and also like teams make and break up all the time, and competitors move from team to team, and you get different dynamics depending on what competitors you're facing. And then you have Lon, who is consistently the most delinquent person ever, and he appears to be sharing his delinquent ways with other competitors.
The kid has become the young, angsty adult.
Even before that, you see in the promo, he's led Oyama into some dark alley. Oyama missed, what was it, backstage last week? Lon showed up and talked about how he's finally taught Paul to cut class and take it easy for a bit.
Honestly, and if we do in fact see them in the teams tournament, I'm afraid of what the delinquent could do to the rest of the Schmoedown community at large.
If especially because like if he keeps winning things and he gets to influence the way things are, like I mean, Chandru is going to do it in a great way, but that I won't get into that because everybody's too good on this show.
Okay, so tell me what you think as we get into round one. You're a stat man. Stat man, tell me how we go with these two teams.
Yeah, we should talk about like a little bit the I had Winston's coining new words now because he wants Modi to become like Oscar or Grammy. He wants a Modi.
Yeah,
He credits Koi. He credits Koi for making him the manager that he is because he learned from Koi's managerial style.
You know what? I had, until Winston forgot about it, mentioned it, I had forgotten that Koi managed Winston in the Anarchy tournament.
I remembered that. I forgot Winston's partner was Stacy in the Anarchy tournament, and that seems like a wild team.
It's honestly a team that I wish we could have seen more from, but those guys are not, you know, wait, I know this is not the team, either of the team in question. Final
Mhm.
Exam and Shazam, two killer teams. Let's talk about this
Yes.
match.
Oh yeah. And yeah, so the last thing we got to talk about is the kid has entered his terrible twos, and he came in with his hat on and drinking milk straight out of the jug and not wearing his Shazam t-shirt. Oh, that hurt a little bit.
That
I
hit to where I live.
yeah. I was kind of hoping he was gonna have it like drawn onto the white t-shirt at least. It's like, oh, I lost the shirt somewhere, but like here it is. There's a little lightning bolt. Yeah. So yeah, as soon as the round one starts, Lon cuts out completely. His internet goes dark and he's gone. Uh, he comes back pretty quickly, and we go off. Um, so I was kind of curious because the first question the kid misses on, and he actually misses on his second question as well. And there has been a pattern of people who have not played in a long time and have played in a lot of studio matches and have like they've they've set their expectations that way. I think comfort may be a slight weakness to some of these competitors who are used to thriving on the tension that literally fills the room, right?
Yeah, I would agree with that because I think we see it a lot in this match where the
Hmm.
kid's getting extra jacked up and he doesn't have anything to like center him as he would like he's got the table there and he's got Bibbs like
Yeah,
literally hand on his back being like, it's okay, kid, it's okay, the kid. But
yeah.
in this, like, he's getting up, he's pacing around, and I think that is probably what leads to those first couple misses and then the hesitance that we see him have in some of the later rounds.
I only bring it up because like we see it later with Dan, we saw it with Smets, and it is just that round one, and they shake it off immediately, and they get back to their top forms. But there has been a bit of a pattern of people tripping up on a couple of things that maybe they should have known or did know, and it could be the adaptation to a new virtual format that brings out not jitters but some extra complications to the game, obviously.
Yeah, I think it comes down to jitters, and I think it also is the kid was talking about how his internet hadn't been great in the exhibition match that he was planning. So it's
Mm,
probably a lot of also like, I hope I don't drop out after they ask the question. I hope that nothing else happens.
mm,
You're thinking about a million different things. Once I think though, with both Smets and Dan, spoilers, what we see happen is once they hit that first question though, they are right back
mhm.
into it. And it's just getting over that first hump.
Although I felt that the kid was as well, and in fact, Oyama misses a couple throughout the first round. He doesn't miss the first one, but he shakes that off immediately as well. But he's played a number of these virtual matches. It was one of Final Exam's lesser round ones. They're usually insanely strong in the first two rounds.
Now, I want to stop down for a second here because we're talking about Paulo Yama's miss, not having the best round one. He
Hmm.
misses on the kindergarten cop question. This is
Hmm.
we're starting to see a slight pattern here where he doesn't even really think about the commando question a couple weeks, not commando, but the the Jean Claude Van Damme question a couple weeks ago, and
Yeah.
then he misses kindergarten cop. Is definitely deferring a lot more to Lon when they spin Sly and Arnie in the
Hmm.
next round. So Do you think that we are starting to see a real weakness from Oyama?
I I don't think so. I think there's a finite amount of time in your days and weeks, and he's only so old. And um, give him a couple of years, and he'll have thousands more movies under his belt. But studying for this takes time, especially if you want to play at the top of the league in singles. You need to be playing with people who've been watching movies for 40 or 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's tough sometimes.
Yeah, but speaking of, we're talking about the kid, Smets, Merle, all missing that beat in the first round. Someone who does not miss a beat and is like he's playing in studio again. Bibbs going
Yeah.
perfect in the
Yeah.
first round. Like
It's
nothing's
all those
changed.
questions and the bonus, just what Bibbs does. Yeah.
Honestly, I was expecting the virtual format to be a little bit harder on Bibbs, just because he just he seems to be a guy similar to, and I'm going to say this not in an insulting way, even though some members of our team will think of it as similar to Snyder, where he is really feeding on the energy of the room, and he's really trying to. You can see him try and engage throughout the match the same way, where he's constantly talking to during the questions way more than he would during a studio match, and just trying to get that energy back. But whatever he's doing, it worked for him. Perfect in round one, like always.
Yeah. I thought you were actually going a different way with that. Similar to Snyder, and I would also say Roca. Not in recent times, but especially in prior years. This year he's been real steady, but like players who can easily get flustered by the crowd who's around, and like there is like sometimes that energy works against you, and you're really trying to play to the crowd more than play to the questions, right? And play your opponents. It's much easier to focus on only your opponents when they're the only ones making comments at you.
That's true, and I guess it's tough this is the most cross talk I think we've seen in any of the matches, whether it's Bibbs or the kid, or well, a little bit of Lon, but in his delinquent way, where it's really just a little comment here, a little comment there.
I wonder if there's something to be said for the teams that are trying to be too nice to each other. I wonder if, well, obviously this is a form of trash talk in itself, because they do it in such a way during competition that riles up a person who is trying to compete with you if you're just too damn nice to them, right? Roca talks about like how that can really like upset you when especially when you think your opponent's not being nice and they refuse to say they aren't being nice. Yes. Look, I fully admit that Chandru is now a villain, but I'm still on his side, and that hasn't changed anything. We might change him from the Chosen to the Dark Lord, but that's fine.
That's, you know what, I have not read the seventh Harry Potter book in a long time. That could be how it ends. I don't remember. But do you think, before and I want to keep moving along in this match, because we have a great main event to get to in a little bit that I think deserves a lot of attention. Do you think going forward there may be a not a rule, but a suggestion from either the commissioner or Ellis or the league as a whole about limiting crosstalk, as it's so hard because it's right in your ears?
Um, I could see, especially during questions, and maybe if you're talking to your teammate and it's your questions, that's a completely different story, and literally take any time that you want to talk to your teammate.
I
And if it comes over a little bit, uh, they they are all running separate audios that can be recorded, I think. I believe I believe I heard the editor talking about that recently. I was watching his interview. I wish I could remember where it was.
yeah, I'm just curious because I'm more talking about in the first round
Hmm.
where all 6 people are there. Mark, Christian, all 4 players. I think, and not spoilers for the match. Obviously, Shazam goes on to win. I think Ben Bateman next week will have a massive issue and be calling for Bibiani to be silenced in their match.
Hmm. And I mean, I'm not sure if you can really complain about the banter of your competitors when there is always during the 15 seconds the banter of the commentators. And that is just as much right in their ears as anything else. If
That's
you
fair.
were cross-talking over questions being asked, that is a different issue, but I did not see any of that.
Mm-hmm. No, that's fair. So after
Uh,
round 1, Shazam's
I
gonna lead. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, 15-12 is their lead. I was just gonna say I do want to talk about the round two wheel spin more
Oh,
than the
perfect.
round two, kind of more than the round two questions, if I'm being honest.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, hmm, I wonder if the competitors, because I'm not sure if we've heard it on the virtual matches, are they told what their opponents spun prior to them spinning the wheel?
Yes, they are because
Okay.
they're still and that was
And
discussed.
maybe not what they respun in, like, you get what they answered questions in. Do you get what they spun the first time? Like,
Yeah,
I'm
I
curious to know
believe
if Final Exam knew Shazam passed on John Hughes.
I believe they only ask you to go to the other room after the wheel has been spun because I believe
Okay, okay,
Oyama
yeah.
in the Pride match had specifically asked, "Are we going to know what they spun?" And Christian
Mhm,
said yes. So I think they're only leaving after
mhm.
the final decision is made.
Okay. That's just a thing that came to my mind in this moment because, uh, Final, yes, Final, oh, it's the other way around, actually, right?
It's okay. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
final exam passed on John Hughes.
Okay, I actually thought
No,
no,
no.
I'm thinking of a different match maybe. But, you know, my
Things
bad.
happen.
Because they do westerns and then Clint Eastwood. There was a match that had somebody do that and you spin away from something and then the opponent got it and they kind of ran through the category. And
That I think that was last week's team
ah,
match.
yes, with
Final exam in the
uh
Pride, I believe.
yeah, it was a director, I believe. I
Too
I
far.
actually talked about it with whoever was on that episode.
I think it
Wow.
was me,
Yeah.
John
Nice.
Carpenter. It was John Carpenter.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
And to hear that discussion, go back and watch that episode covering the Schmoedown Throwdown. I believe it's Schmoedown Night in Canada, episode 31.
Nice. So yeah, they respin from John Hughes and they get Arnie and Sly, and they don't look real happy about it. But um, let me double check my math here. They go 9 for 12. They miss one multiple choice question and answer everything else. But Shazam does steal it.
Yeah,
Um,
and it's interesting seeing like I just talked about in the first round how Arnie and Sly and these like 80s, 90s action movies really Kindergarten Cop's not an action movie, really start coalescing in these forms, and you start to see that these were not the typical Arnie and Sly questions. Like you're asking about who remembers Escape Plan? Nobody. And if you do, you're lying.
Yeah, and I mean, like the only problem with getting 9 points in that category, which is admirable, is trailing 3 points and only getting 9 points in the category, which sets them up in a pretty difficult position when Shazam drops the lead or like picks up a 5 point lead before they've spun their round two. And I mean, they spin westerns and they respin and they get, I'll say it's westerns, but more specific westerns. They get Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder if like Oyama or Lon had asked for Clint Eastwood to be on the wheel, because I think there's a lot of overlap, and usually we don't see like a lot of overlap in that way with two very similar categories. So I wonder what the selection process would be like, and I know we're never going to know that.
See, but the only thing I could imagine there is if both of the competitors of the team asked to put one of them on the wheel. Because I don't think if you asked for Clint Eastwood that the wheel makers are going to put westerns on the wheel and vice versa.
Yeah, that's fair. And now that you've said that,
like they're not going to give you a free strength on the wheel and let you have three. Like,
yeah, now that you're saying that, did Oyama and Lon ask for both? Because Shazam definitely did not ask for either.
That or it looks like that's a category that either hasn't been tested by those teams or is a bit of a weakness, because they do try and balance a wheel for top competitors, especially for more rookie players and greener players, we'll say. They do just kind of randomize the list and grab 8 extra categories after the picks, but for this sort of thing, they try and throw a weakness or two up there if they can. They try to trip them up.
Yeah. Now, there's one specific moment in the Clint Eastwood category for Shazam that I really want to talk to you about, and it's the Vietnam versus Korean War question. Shazam gets asked it, and they know it's one or the other, but before answering, they use a repeat. And then they go to multiple choice. And then they use their last repeat. What do you think of this strategy? They burn through so much to potentially only get 1 point. And they miss it anyway.
Yeah, I think at that point you drop it like for 1 point. Like if they had used the repeats beforehand and then checking down to multiple choice is going to even give you another 15 seconds to talk about it. It's almost a JTE in that instance.
Yeah.
But it's I don't know. I don't mind that one so much because they seemed to know it. They definitely watched that movie together and they wrote it down on a note card and they know it, but they couldn't pull it.
Well, I liked Bibbs talking through, all right, this is how old Clint Eastwood would have been at that point.
That was great. He's like, I know this movie, it was released then. He would have been this old. What kind of war would they have sent that age Clint Eastwood to?
As if every character in a movie is the same age as the actors playing them. Tony Stark, I believe, 42 years old.
Yeah, my favorite one is the Buffy the Vampire Slayer TV show. One of the actresses in it is, I believe, 27 when she starts the series, and she plays a 16-year-old who looks like all of the 20-year-old actors who are doing it. And like what? And she just, I didn't even know that until years after watching it too. Like,
For more Buffy stuff, stay around to the end of the
check out
show.
a
There'll be a
podcast
plug.
we'll make in the future.
Oh, well, maybe Dan. There might be something else. All right, let's wrap up.
I don't know. You guys brainstorm a lot of podcast segments, so
We do.
I thought I'd get in on it.
But let's wrap up this teams match. Tell me about round 3, Dan.
Let's see. Yeah. We get Drew Barrymore question, and Paul decides to take it for final exam. They hit the 2. They tie the game. Oh, it was questions. They missed 2. Final exam took 1 of those. 22-24. Paul hits it to tie. Bibbs hits the 2 in dance movies, and him and Brendan had a debate over who should take that question. And finally, Bibbs took it. He said he enjoys dance movies. He gets it. Lon gets a Disney question. It was about which Disney movie was it? He gets it pretty quickly. It's Moana, but it's a voice actor who does like a specific role, and he just gets it right away.
Yeah, Jermaine Clements playing Kamatoa.
Yes. I haven't seen the movie, so I wasn't even going to attempt to pronounce what I thought he said. So
treat yourself, Daniel. This is a PSA. Treat yourself. Moana's lovely.
Yeah, well, I got the Disney Plus subscription for a few more days before it runs out, so we'll check it out maybe.
All right.
Kid gets Thriller, and his internet cuts out before they give him the question. It takes him 2 minutes. Yes, Mark does some Thriller dances. The delinquent answers many a trivia question that wasn't asked about the Thriller music video. That I found quite great.
It was. It truly was.
And then Brendan finally comes back, and after they give him the question, he hits it pretty easily. Bibbs mentions later that he did not know that question, and their whole debate over who should take the 2 and like head games of the better player should always take the 3 and who's the better player. They just dropped all of that, and Bibbs likes dance movies and didn't know the 3, and Brendan did. So they take the lead again. Yes?
They do.
Yes. It's 30-26. And then final exam, 30-27?
29-27.
I see. I kind of added some points somewhere, I guess. Final exams 5 is in 90s movies. It's the crime drama Menace to Society. I forgot the rest of the question, but they miss it, and they fail to beat Shazam, and still had one of the most incredible teams runs. They had no easy competition, and they played every match very well, except for one question that just wasn't answered. Lon, every single thing works in his character's favor. When his internet starts glitching, when he forgets to answer a question, like, yeah, he borrowed some internet off some sketchy dude in the backyard, and he didn't know there was a question left.
Yeah, we're gonna wrap talking up about this match in a second,
Yes,
but I am loving the where in the world is Lon Harris. He's out in the desert. He's in the woods. He's in Video Drew's house. Where is he?
Yeah. Did I actually have that? No. It
But
was from the last match where he's
regardless,
hanging out with his own other former persona, and that seems very dangerous. Those two should never meet and hang out together.
Time Cop, same matter, cannot uh, occupy the same space. Now, very quickly, 30 seconds or less, Shazam is going to go on to play Who's the Boss this week.
Yeah.
Who is winning that match?
Okay. I think Shazam takes the match. Both of those competitors looked on their top form. I think Ben Bateman's going to play well, and it will be Riley's chance to lose this match. These
Uh,
are all high-scoring teams, and I think it will ride on him to play to the level that he can and really get it done.
I agree. I especially think that Shazam did not get a favorable category this week. And if they
Mhm.
can get something that is more in their wheelhouse, they can, I think, put up a much better score. And Who's the Boss will be in for a tough road. Because remember, Riley hasn't played since January. Bateman hasn't played since the live event in Atlanta.
Mhm.
I don't think either one of them has been in any exhibition matches even. So we'll see how these things go.
No, but I we all know Ben Bateman, and he's definitely been in as many mock virtual matches as is physically possible. Like he will Schmoedown anyone on any day for any reason, points or not.
That's that's fair. All right, Dan, we are moving in to the main event, the
Yes.
the big dance, the main show, the thing we have all been looking forward to for what seems like 6 months now since the little mini tournament with Irwin beating Snyder and Roka beating Oyama started back in February. We've been
Mhm.
waiting for this match. Quickly before we get into it, just like, who did you want to win this match, and are you happy with the outcome?
Okay. For so many reasons, I wanted Dan to win because as a fan of Screen Junkies, um, I was brought to the Schmoedown by Dan Murrell, and I watched his match against John Campia back in season 3, and then I watched a couple more matches. Then Clark Wolf debuted and had an insane run, and between the two of them and a number of other very awesome matches in that third season, uh, Bibiani and Draco comes to mind with the two perfect rounds at the beginning. Um, but yeah, and so he's always been my favorite competitor, and like while I also think he might be the best competitor. It I don't like I don't like to discount other like titans like Rachel or Roka who exceed him in different categories. One in like the pro persona and the promo game, and just the character work for Roka, who has
Mhm.
built the whole league that way. And also like Rachel and her triple league dominance is nothing to be shot down either. And also, well, Ethan playing in the singles tournament is good for me personally.
Gotta get those fantasy points. I personally was torn
Yes, yes.
because I'm a big fan and I really
Mhm.
wanted to see what Jen Kemp would have brought to the singles tournament after her match against Alex
Yes.
Damon in IG, and I've seen a lot of her fan matches. I've wanted to see her play. I wanted to see her play, but I came in season 2, but I really fell in love with the Schmoedown in season 3 with Dan Murrell, and I was like, I want Ethan to be somehow. I want Ethan to win, but Dan to be champion, if that makes sense. And I know that doesn't make any sense, but I was torn, and I was torn the entire match from Ethan hitting the first question and Dan missing all the way to sudden death.
Okay, so there's two things I wanted to get into before the actual match proper, which is that Dan has really learned how to cut some amazing promos when he needs to. I don't know if it's the help from the editing of Nerd Chronic. I haven't watched his promo video on its own, but I'm sure it is just as powerful. And then the Screen Junkies fact check from the couch during the banter before the match brought me back to classic movie fights days with the Dan couch.
Oh, yeah. I just want to touch on that promo game for a second. His talking about, I know what it takes to take this. Do you? He is definitely this season, even last season, since coming back from retirement, his promo game has just gone up an entire level. And you know what? I'm going to say it right now. A lot of people credit it to Roka. I think it's the energy Gucci brings. I think you can't not cut a great promo when you have a man with a 7-inch collar backing you.
I mean, I would like to think more it's his 5 championships that speak for him. A lot of promo game is predicated on actually getting it done and winning those matches.
Yeah, you
but
gotta.
We can get into it. You mentioned the champ missing the first question in round 1, and we're going all the way to sudden death. So we're going to try and go through these rounds a little bit quicker than normal. See, like I said, we dedicated our time to the undercard, not the main event that everyone's going to cover meticulously.
That's what you come to Schmoes in the North for. The stuff no one else is talking about.
Exactly. We're going to talk about the little guys. Yeah. Round 1, Ethan hits 7, misses 1 question, Dan misses 2 and falls behind. Oh, Ethan misses an animated question. The 8th question of the round for the perfect round. They always give him an animated question. I don't know if they're always in round 1, but they're always in Ethan's.
I feel like animated is a category that always comes up in round 1.
Okay.
Or
is it 8 general categories every time? I don't think so, really.
It's usually, I find, you get an action adventure, you get a some semblance of a Disney, Pixar, or animated question in there.
Okay, yeah, they have a couple of 3 wedge categories that they do a little.
Yeah, you get a lot of horror thriller in there. I find a lot of general stuff. I think they pretty obviously do that to try and avoid the a blowout in the first round, because then you can get you get people getting more points on the board.
If there's a smaller amount of possible categories in the first round, they're easier to study for, obviously.
For sure.
Round 2, we get Ethan spinning away from movie release dates, which seemed like a smart move, and he pulls Spike Lee.
I
thought this was going to go better.
So did I. And I gotta say, though, I really, really love seeing. I believe Spike Lee is another category that was added this year, and I think it was seeing these new categories, because I think Spike Lee has a deep and really fascinating filmography that, unfortunately, just because it's hard to put him in any of the other wheel slices, except for a mixed bag. Getting Spike Lee is really getting to shine a light on some of these other these really great films. And
Mhm.
you're right. I expected Irwin to go perfect here.
Yeah,
But he
like he
didn't.
really knows his filmmakers, especially. If anything, Ethan knows filmmakers. That's his
Well, they're all on
main claim
speed
to
dial.
fame. Like, yeah, he hangs out with them probably for tea. Maybe not these days, but
No, but I will say, I think the way he maneuvered his way through this round by when he gets to what was Spike Lee's directorial debut, and he's like, I don't know that what you guys are gonna say. I'll go to
mhm,
multiple choice. I think Ethan Irwin of last season, especially the season before, just
mhm,
says an answer. I think this shows the caliber of Sam Levine as a manager. May
right,
not have the highest, his faction may not have the highest win accuracy, but
mhm,
aside from his always spin second belief, I think that he is definitely instilling a lot of good lessons in his faction mates.
right. Um, interesting. I also saw this a little bit differently in the fact that he answered what he would have anyway. Like it is showing
Mhm.
growth in the strategy part of the game that he did take that second to make sure that he knew what he was saying. But it honestly he looked like he thought that was the answer they were looking for, and it just happened to be not that movie.
Yeah,
And then he
and
was a little surprised when Dan answered it and stole it.
mhm, mhm.
Yeah. Then speaking of new wheel slices, because we're at 11-7. Dan spins courtroom slash legal thrillers. Whew.
What is that? What could that?
The the worst part is I know for a fact that's way too large a category. It is a list of movies, and 90% of them are probably really bad.
I started thinking like, okay, you get A Few Good Men,
Mm,
12 Monkeys, but then I'm like,
hmm
Liar Liar, does that go in there? It's not exactly, it's a comedy, but would
Yeah.
you throw it in there? Maybe.
Um, Legally Blonde.
Oh, that better be in there.
Oh, well,
I'm
actually, it
coming
is
for you.
dramas, so that's not quite a
Mm,
drama, right? Okay. Well, why would you take that away? Oh, it's a thriller. Is Legally
uh,
Blonde thrilling?
I'm thrilled.
I'd say
I
yes.
I was thrilled when it turned out
Yeah.
in Legally Blonde 2 that Boomer or Buster had to get his mom back or whatever. That was
Yeah.
cool. Is that what happened in
So
that movie?
so Dan checks down twice, misses one. Ethan steals it. We tie the game at 12. That's going to be a recurring theme.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, I didn't have this at the time, but I went back and checked. Round three, Dan gets a spin since he's the champion. They talk about putting spinners, and Dan says he'd never put spinners on the wheel, so fat chance is going to spin it.
Spin real hard for it. You'll find it. I
Yeah.
loved that from Sam.
And they get movie release dates.
Yeah, that's an interesting one to get. Because Ethan had spun away from it in round two. And then
Hmm
even as he's talking about it, he didn't expect to see it just to be Top Gun. He was like, that's gonna be a tougher question. It's gonna
Yeah,
be a tougher question. But then it wasn't.
yeah. Like this was for gold, right? And
Mhm.
then it was one that a lot of people will definitely know because they remember going to see Top Gun when it came out. It was a
Now,
pretty big thing, right?
pretty big thing. I wasn't alive, but
I don't know.
but anyway, the now so Ethan bets one,
Yeah.
Dan bets two. Interesting thing I want to talk about here though. Do Gucci and Dan, do they actually have codes or were they just saying stuff?
I think they got something, and I I don't know about it, but um, maybe it pays off, but someone's definitely gonna forget what it is.
At first, I was saying, okay, January. That's the first month of the year. 1 point. But then they were talking about April and May, and I'm like, okay, so is
Well,
May
yeah, because
3
you
for?
can't put them all immediately in sequence because obviously that's too easy.
I guess. And then my
So
thought process was May has 3 letters. Does that mean 3 points? But then how does April become 2? I don't know.
wait, no, because
April.
January has 4. That's
No,
it doesn't quite work because
but it's
April has 2, May has 1, January has 4 though. So it's not 1, 2, or 3.
you know what? We cannot. We're not.
Okay. Yeah,
I
we're
I
not code breakers here.
I
We're
might work in the mental health field, but I am not here to psychoanalyze Tom Detonito. That's not. I'm
we'll
off the clock.
we'll get Andrew Guy on it.
Shromanati. Um,
Yeah.
okay, so let's talk about the speed round. Both players really seemed like they were excited about this because these are two
Mhm.
guys who neither one of them famously has done well in the speed round.
And spoiler alert, going into this, they both do incredibly well.
Yeah, 9 and 10 points respectively.
Mhm.
And it's not even a missed question from Dan. It's I'm just gonna pass because I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. And I specifically like that aspect of both of their games. Of they actually even allowed the entire question to be read out every time, and they took exactly the right amount of time to either I know it or pass. And one of them I really like that Dan cuts them off mid question because throughout answering all his other speed round questions, he answered that question in his head and he can shout it out as soon as they ask this and move on to the next one he passed on. It
That's what we
was it was some strategy that you can't see in the regular speed round.
that's what we've seen a lot of through these speed rounds
Mm,
is they'll pass on something and then Mike Kalinowski, Chance Ellison, Smets, all of them did it where then when it comes back around, bam,
yeah.
they're ready to
You
go.
already have those answers because when you
Mhm.
think of them offhandedly, you file them in a box as this is answer number 1, 2, and 3 of my misses or my passes, and then you you're just ready to fire them off because you made that list in your head. You know?
Mhm. Now, I would say talk to me about the final round, but it's not the final round. It's just the fifth round.
Yes. Last thing on the fourth round, deferring
Mm,
as the person who gets to choose, I think is the right decision, and I'm happy that it has happened more than not deferring. I think, or maybe it's an equal amount at this point, but I think it should happen. You want the commentator to read all 10 questions aloud on stream once and get
agreed.
that practice to get it one more time.
I
Yeah.
think it's less. I think it's less relevant in singles
Mhm.
than it is in something like Inner Geekdom, where there's like and the floopadoopos.
Yes.
But
I mean,
but
because
I get what you mean.
neither of these competitors had trouble with it. We
Mhm.
don't know exactly. I just think that you get a small edge because while they will familiarize themselves with these questions, they I don't know if they're literally reading them out loud into a mirror, right?
Yeah, I you know, as much as I know that these guys are consummate professionals, they're not.
Yeah.
That's just
So leading by 1 point going into round 4.
I
Dan passes on one question, so we get what is it? A tie game.
tie game.
Nice. We get into round 5. They both hit their 2s and their 3s. Tom Hanks and 90s for Ethan, and movie release dates and rom-coms for Dan. We get to these 5 pointers, which I thought both of them were pretty interesting. Very good examples of 5 pointers.
Yeah, that's the I'm very happy to be seeing these high level five
Yeah,
pointers again.
and they're both context questions, but
Mhm.
different ones. One is an in movie context question and a movie trivia question, trivia about a movie, and then the other one is trivia about movies, which I thought was very,
Mhm.
very good.
Yes.
Three directors who got two Best Director nominations in 1 year, and he has to name one. Ethan uses all his repeats, but he can't hit it. I didn't know any of them, obviously.
No. And I like to think of myself as an Oscars guy, and I didn't have it.
I don't think of myself as an Oscars or directors guy, so I couldn't have guessed. And
Now,
then Dan gets. I had the movie here, but I don't have it anymore. It's Brad Pitt, and he has to answer like the guy who plays Brad Pitt's dad in some movie, and it's a movie I had not heard of. So
this is one of the
I
questions I did not write down. So I don't know the movie either. The important thing is Dan missed it.
the thing is like I'm sure if you saw that movie, you might not even know that
Mhm.
because I don't know, just from the movie title, it didn't really sound like the father played a big role in the movie. So who
No.
knows? Maybe he was a famous actor. I can't remember the answer either. We
No,
get into
neither can I.
sudden death though, because neither of them can spread the points at all, and we get a couple of misses in this sudden death, which I thought was pretty interesting.
Yeah, it was really cool seeing these guys go deep into sudden death and missing on the
Mhm.
same things. I always feel weird about when they ask about this quarterback or this famous football player or something. It just as not the like I like sports as much as the next guy, but
Mm,
I'm terrible with athletes' names, so I could not
yeah.
have told you any of that stuff. Interesting. Before we like wrap this up, both of these guys we were talking about before stream have played in 3 matches this year, and two
Mhm,
of them have come down to sudden death. And not just one question sudden death, but
mhm.
multiple rounds of sudden
And
death.
and Ethan Irwin taking two of the best competitors and the longest winning competitors to sudden death in like I it's not back to back. I think it was 2 weeks,
2
right?
weeks. Yep, two
Yeah.
weeks.
So with a 2 week break is incredible and nothing to shake your head at all. And if if Sam has had that much to like train Ethan into what is a competitor that can play today with the schedule and study method that Ethan can employ in his regular life, right? He's a
Yeah.
very busy guy. And if Sam can help him with that, who he was a very busy guy when he won two belts at the same time and a tournament and some crazy other shit. So if anyone's going to teach Irwin how to do it, it's going to be Sam Levine.
Yeah. But Dan Murrell,
Yes, we're talking about Ethan Irwin a little too much in this round five.
the story here, Dan Murrell, still the champion.
Yes,
9 title defenses. That's or no,
five,
5 title
five
defense. 5 title defense.
championships.
That's it's an insane number. He is the
Yeah.
most winningest. Like it's him and the Patriots, and it's hard
Yeah.
to count the Patriots because it's a different league and
Hmm.
can't take anything away from them. But
I will point out the Patriots record is 9-2,
mhm,
and Dan is 9-3 in all 5 round matches. Not every match the Patriots played was a 5 round match. I
that's
might put this record up against theirs.
it. It is no, they are definitely comparable records.
And
The
obviously they're not consecutive, but
Yeah,
that the caliber you have to play at to win 3/4 of the 5 round matches you play in is insane.
no, it is impressive, and Dan Murrell I think is the and will be the forever the greatest singles player of all time. and you know what, he may very
I
well.
do disagree with that. I believe there's someone out there, and they're coming, and they're going to use Ben Bateman's Moneyball and Paulo Yama's like movie watching schedule and fake letterbox account and checking the letterboxes of his opponents, and then they're going to put together another piece, much like Kevin Smets did. I do believe there is this competitor is coming. We just don't know when yet. We're
No,
only 7 years old for now.
maybe it will be Rachel and Sam Levine's child. Who knows? But actually,
A long time from now, but
you talk about Ben Bateman. That's a great thing, because the next match that, and we're gonna only talk about this very quickly because we got to wrap up the show.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we'll see you all next time. Ben Bateman or Andrew Guy will be playing Dan Murrell again. Do either one of those guys have what it takes to take the belt off Murrell?
now, Ben Bateman, I don't think has a shot. I believe Ben Bateman is a great player, and he is proof in the fact that nobody is their record. You can flip it around in a year and a half and win a title. Like, but I just think Dan would take that because he's just an insane, the best singles player ever, right?
Yeah.
Guy is a different story. Guy is still Dan's worst game ever, his worst loss ever. The one, maybe second, or it was the first, and it might be the only time he has ever been rattled. There was that Ben Bateman thing, but it just hardened his resolve in Atlanta, and he didn't miss anything going forward. And also in the Bids match, they also rattled him, and he just turns into a shark, much like Jaws, and devours everybody on stage or anywhere near him. So please be afraid if you have to play Dan Murrell, is all I have to say.
Yeah. I got to tell you, I believe Ben Bateman could take it off him, because I think he is that caliber of player. But I think Andrew Guy is going to win that match. I don't know why. I got a feeling. I got a feeling Andrew Guy's going to be upset him, and I think Andrew Guy, you watch the action, you watch the action run, you watch the family run, you watch even his singles run. It's hard for him to string together a series of positive performances, and I think he's going to be very positive against Bateman, and then Murrell's going to stomp him out. But
that's possible. Although the high of beating Ben Bateman might be enough. Bring him in. Like I think Andrew can thrive on that sort of inner passion, especially.
It might very well be. But with that, we're gonna wrap up this episode of Schmoedown Night in Canada. Daniel, I've had a lot of fun talking to you, and if people want to keep talking to you, where can they find you?
Mostly, I do comment around on Twitter, but I'm not super active on that. So just the Facebook page, Schmoes of the North, a Schmoedown fan page, and I'm an admin over there. You can find me pretty much any post that has people interacting with.
That's fair. And for me, Dave Lees, I'm not going to tell you about where to follow me personally, because you don't want to do that. But what you can do is go over to Schmoes in the North and subscribe. Follow us there. You're getting a lot of great content right now.
Oof.
And with that, from all of us here at Schmoes in the North, have a good night.